Could this movie be better than Knives Out? What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another one of my movie reviews. Today we are talking about A Haunting in Venice. Now retired and living in self-imposed exile in the world's most glamorous city, Poirot reluctantly attends a seance at a decaying haunted palazzo. He soon gets thrust into a sinister world of shadows and secrets when one of the guests is murdered. And just so you guys know, there will be no spoilers in this video, so if you haven't seen it, then you are safe. Okay, so first of all, I didn't actually watch the two other movies that came before this, Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile. And quite frankly, I don't think you need to, just because the story is completely independent. There are a few references to the main character's backstory, but honestly, it's not that important. I mainly came from Michelle Yeoh, and for those that have seen it, well, so I do have to give props to the movie for having really nice visuals, especially the color palette. For those that kind of understand color theory, they used a lot of complementary colors with lots of deep blues and then like vibrant oranges, so it made everything look very nice. Also, does the setting of Venice make the movie better? I'm a little conflicted on that just because 90% of the movie takes place in one place in the interior of like this mansion. So it honestly could have been anywhere, but I will say the 10% of the movie that does have shots from Venice do make it really nice and makes it kind of more gothic in a way, especially the scenes where they're on the river and they're on the boat. Those are really nicely done. I do kind of wish they changed up the scenes a little bit. I wish they were outside, they were inside, because all of this kind of took place in one night, and I kind of wish it was a little more drawn out than that. If you think Knives Out, they kind of changed settings a lot. I will say though, the mansion itself was really nicely designed, so that was a good job. Let's talk about the cast. So I will say the standouts for me were definitely Michelle Yeoh. She did not disappoint. Every scene that she was in, she ate down. Also, her hair and outfit was really nicely done. So whoever was in charge of that, good job. I was quite disappointed with how much screen time she got in the movie because again, she was like the main attraction for me. So I felt a little scammed on that side. The other cast standout was Kenneth Branagh. He did really well just holding everyone together as the main character. Also, the little kid Jude Hill did a good job acting too. I thought he was really creepy and giving psycho vibes. And his relationship with his father was like, made me a little uncomfy. Some actors that did not do a great job were Tina Fey, for sure. I don't know if it's to the fault of the script and her dialogue, but everything she kind of delivered was really cheesy, and I understand that's her brand because she's a great comedian, but I just think she was kind of wrongly cast in a serious, like, murder mystery type of film. Also, Jamie Dornan did not do super well. I haven't been really keeping up to date with his career. Like, everyone knows him from 50 Shades of Grey, but besides that, I honestly don't really know what he's in. The whole time in the movie, he was just like... So the whole movie is kind of this murder mystery, although I do think the one thing that makes this movie stand out a little bit more from others that I've seen is that it's kind of a murder mystery on top of a supernatural mystery. They're kind of trying to figure out, oh, are ghosts real? But then also there's like a murder mystery on top of that, but then there's also like this flashback that they're trying to solve. So it's like a couple of layers that you're trying to uncover, which is pretty cool. And again, I really like the side of things where they leave the supernatural kind of ambiguous, especially because the main character, he's so logical, like he's a detective and he's a big skeptic, but then things keep happening that's like, how do you explain that? I also thought the pacing was really well done, although in the middle when they started doing interviews with people, it kind of dragged down a little bit, especially because it's not a small cast, but they ended up interviewing pretty much everyone to, you know, obviously try to figure out who was the killer. And I think there's a few characters that could have been removed for time's sake because they didn't seem that important and they just kind of dragged down the pacing a bit. Also, the structure of this movie is a little bit formulaic because we've seen so many whodunits at this point. It's really, really tough to reinvent the wheel for a whodunit type of movie or book or anything else. So I can't really ding it that bad, but I will say it was very just, you know, they set up the plot, then they go into the interviews to figure it out, and then ultimately they come up with the solution and who actually is the killer. And speaking of who was actually the killer, I won't spoil it, but I will say, for someone who's seen a lot of murder mysteries, it was really, really obvious, and I guess you could say that about any of the characters if it was revealed that way, but I think it was one of the first characters I predicted, and I was like, that is too obvious, and they definitely wouldn't do that. But then I guess they did do that, so then I was like, oh, okay, so then they did go with the obvious choice. For those that have seen it, let me know what you guys thought, if it was kind of obvious for you too. I also thought the reveal of who the killer was a bit rushed. Like, they basically spent the whole movie trying to gather clues, and then the reveal was like, done, and then it ended pretty much in like the next 10 minutes. Also, because there is a supernatural element of the movie, sometimes there were jump scares, and I thought they were kind of annoying, to be honest. They were very effective, because it's not a horror movie, so why are you putting in these like horror, like these very basic horror tropes that aren't even very well done? Like, you could see it from a mile away, and it was just kind of distracting, and it was just like really loud noise, and I was like, okay, whatever. So I'm gonna compare this movie a little bit to Knives Out. I don't know how fair that is, just because Knives Out is probably one of the best recent whodunits I've seen. But compared to that movie, I think A Haunting in Venice sets up more of a gothic feel. It definitely feels more like a book. So I know it has influences from Edgar Allan Poe, it has influences from Agatha Christie. In fact, I think this was adapted from an Agatha Christie book. So it definitely feels more like a book vibe than Knives Out. I also enjoyed the fact that the main detective guy, Poirot, I think is his name, he was a little bit more lost than Benoit Blanc. Where basically in Knives Out, I was like, oh, he's got it in the bag, you know, I trust what he's doing. But here he's like a little more like clueless. Not clueless, but he's more confused, and I think that helps the audience kind of relate to him more. It's like, oh, if he's confused, then it's like, oh, the mystery must be like really like insane, despite it being, you know, kind of underwhelming. But I like that. Also, he was just like, his mustache and his like whole demeanor is a little more campy, so I enjoy that a little more. Again, it kind of plays into this like Edgar Allan Poe type of feel. But yeah, overall, I had a really good time. I didn't find myself wanting to fall asleep or walk away at all. I think it was a pretty decent movie to watch. It kind of makes me want to watch Death on the Nile and the other one too. Again, the main things I wish I got to see more was more of Michelle Yeoh and maybe a more climatic reveal at the end. But besides that, I thought it was a very enjoyable movie. I give it a 7 out of 10. So what did you guys think of this movie? Let me know your thoughts down below. And if you enjoyed my review, then make sure you hit the subscribe button. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out, everyone.